instant classic. Christian Cage is all elite. 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 But, we got a problem with it because he's a WWE guy forever and ever and ever and can never work anywhere else. So So Paul White's big announcement was revealed that Christian Cage, the Hall of Fame worthy talent, big star, is all elite. So yeah, Christian did fit the credentials for it. He is an instant classic guy. He has done great matches. He has the talent and ability, and he's in great shape again. He cleared the test, so he can work it, and he wasn't signed to WWE. It was confirmed in reports that he was signed to a Fox deal that had expired after the Royal Rumble. So the fact that WWE didn't sign him clearly thought was like, well, he's Christian, but he's not Edge. Okay, this is the thing. I know Christian and Edge are the best of friends, and here's the thing when it comes to, I feel this is just theory talk, but I think that's the issue. Edge and Christian are best of friends. They're not brothers in storyline like they portrayed it as. But the problem, I think, was that WWE looks at them and was like, "You're our guy, Edge. Oh, hey, Christian. Just gonna do something else." Yeah. Here's the thing. When this is what Christian said in interviews, and I'll get to the WWE Tribalist talk in a bit. But Christian has signed a multi-year deal with AEW, and he's 47 years old. He's been cleared for the return to the ring, so that's an obvious problem to people. Uh, he apparently signed. I keep hearing rumors that he signed a multi-year, 7-year deal or something like that. But he is a multi-year deal, and he just has to finish a couple things first in wrestling to prove he is the instant classic. He wants to outwork everybody. But let's get But here's the thing. He said on the interview with Renee Paquette's oral sessions, after she had killed John Moxley for going through the whole you know, explosive barbed wire death match, which ended in hilarious dud. So this is what he said. He was surprised when he had heard that when Big Show made that announcement, he hadn't even inked the deal. Yeah, he wasn't signed when Big Show made that announcement. So it was like, what if he didn't sign? That would have been over. So I think they had like 100% confidence, especially since it was revealed that the encouragement was also handled by John Moxley. John Moxley. So naturally, we can thank Moxley for this moment. So he went ahead and revealed, honestly, this is 100% honest. On Wednesday, there was nothing signed. It was a shock to me when I heard White's announcement. Obviously, I think Tony Khan and I hit it off pretty quick, and we felt comfortable enough that we were definitely going to get something done and work together at that point. It all happened really quick. I wasn't sure I was going to go to AEW after the Rumble, and all the talks I had with WWE were very cordial, and obviously I'm good friends with you and your husband, John Moxley, he says to Renee Young, and he talked to me in his opinions and stuff like that, made me think, okay, I'm doing myself a disservice if I don't at least exploit all my options, and at this final stage of my career, I've ended up having a conversation with Tony, and it escalated very quickly. It went very fast. Within a week, it was a done deal. Renee also got Christian to talk about his thought process that led him to make the call to sign with AEW instead of WWE. Of course, whenever there's some sort of decision like that, a life-altering decision, there's a lot of thought that goes into it. I didn't have a lot of time to think about this, but what I really needed was the best platform for me too. I kind of got second lease on life here with this to showcase for that, but also help. Where can I help also the next generation? That's the kind of where I felt was at AEW. In my initial talks with Tony, the first conversation we talked about for 2 hours, and from that initial conversation, I was like, man, I didn't think it would go to that well, and it came pretty quickly after that. We hit it off, kind of had the same feeling, and as far as where he saw me and what I could do and what I could bring to the table and how I could help the roster, I help myself and help the show. There's something intriguing about that to me, and I like a challenge. It was not an easy decision, but it also wasn't a hard decision, if that makes sense. There was something intriguing about being able to be a little more hands-on with everything and having that challenge as well. It just felt like the right situation. There's nothing wrong with WWE in the way they do things. I need this for me at this point. So he said to show up on Dynamite this week, where he could cut a promo. But the visual, but here's the thing. I got it. I instantly got what he was trying to say. Like, let's be real. When you think of Christian, you definitely think of Edge. When you think of Edge, you think Edge and Christian. You don't think Christian Cage. You don't think Impact Christian. You think, oh, Christian, he's Edge's buddy and he's his brother and all that. Like every time when you had Christian, there was always going to be that comparison where he was never going to be as great as Edge, and he is the talent he could be, but Edge is too much better and whatnot. And I think that is, I would totally be frustrated if I was like I know I have this ability, I know I've stolen the show, I went ahead and knocked it out of the park for years and years over the IC title with Jericho. Why can't I be given the world title opportunities like like Edge, like my buddy has? Like I've earned it. I feel like I've earned it. But let's be real. He was second fiddle to Edge. So then he left WWE, went to Impact Wrestling and NWA, won the NWA World Championship, won the Impact World Championship. He was a multi-time champion, world champion there. Then he goes back to WWE. He's in a much better position than he was when he started his singles run there after he split off with Edge. But it's sort of like oh, poor Christian, man. You're kind of over there with Edge. You're close, but you're not Edge. We still have Edge with us. So, can you please take a fill just a little while longer? And then Edge retires due to injury, and Christian is back and doing stuff. But it just felt like, even though Edge was gone, Christian still felt like he was the redheaded stepchild from the booking standpoint, I felt. Like, he wins the world title. Yeah, he's going to have an awesome run. He's going to have great matches with people. He's going to carry that torch. He's going to carry the big gold belt. And then immediately loses it to Orton a week later. What the hell? Then they do another match. He goes ahead and wins it through disqualification means, because that was a ruling he made. And then he loses it again to Orton, and then after that it just stops, and I don't think he ever won the world title again after that. But that's sort of the thing. Compared to Edge and Christian, Edge would always be better, and Christian would always be the second redheaded stepchild to Vince and the booking and committee he gets. So, yeah, is it fair? Hell no. Is it right? No. Is it understandable business perspective? Yeah, because you had marketed a lot more with Edge than you had with Christian. So, yeah, unfair, but it's the cutthroat business world. So Christian comes back after his concussion injury from Alberto Del Rio. Thanks a lot, man. And I don't mean that generously. I mean that with a volatile despair. He's gone for a number of years. He comes back at the Rumble. He kicks ass, takes names, hugs it out with Christian, and he gets eliminated, and everyone's all excited. But Edge wins the Rumble. It's like, oh. But everyone's all excited because now Christian, what can he do? Like, for years you had fans say he's Hall of Fame worthy. He should go into the Hall of Fame. He's earned the Hall of Fame. But he comes back. He's like, oh, he gets to end his career on his terms now. He doesn't have to be reminded of the Alberto Del Rio debacle. And the fact that he was supposed to have a match with Big E. And everyone was hoping that, oh, maybe this will lead to a Big E versus Christian match. Oh, maybe we'll get that resolution that was supposed to happen all those back in 2014, I believe. Oh, we get that resolution. We get the New Day versus Edge and Christian. And you see where I'm going with this? Every single topic either involved his past booking from 2014 or something that involves Edge. In fact, even Edge, I believe few years back, revealed that if he had not been injured, his original plan was to wrestle one more year, and it was supposed to be a final match with Christian. They were going to have an emotional send-off and all that. And I'm just thinking to myself, okay, it's cool, I get it, but years later looking at it now, it's like, but it doesn't feel like Christian would have earned it. It just feels like Edge says, I want it, and WWE would be like, here you go. Oh, and Christian's just getting handed it because his buddy's Edge is vouching for him. So I'm not saying this is Christian's thought process. This is just from my perspective of the booking. I'm not trying to make a conspiracy nonsense like certain journalists who later apologize for it. about Brody Lee, because for God's sakes, I'm not over that. And the fact that when he opened that can of worms up, now there are other people making that claim and being stupid. So yeah, it's frustrating. Like, Edge would always be first pick over at Christian. That's the sad reality in WWE management. If Christian stayed, he probably would always be considered second fiddle to Edge. He would always be that guy who would, he's gonna get opportunities, but he's not gonna get like those world big chance to run with it title opportunities. He's not gonna be like world champion contender for anything. He's gonna compete for the IC title, do some dream matches here or there, but really having a chance to win the world title like Edge could probably get, yeah, good luck with that. So why would he want to go somewhere else? I'm like, he's not mad at WWE or anything. The leaving might have been completely amicable. I'm like, Paul White's departure was reportedly amicable. He admitted that Vince McMahon was like, congratulations, damn it. The reason why I say damn it a lot with Vince is because, let's be real, it's just like his second favorite most used word. The other one's being fired. Or as he likes to perfectly eloquently, you're being let go for your current place of employment. And yeah, that's the thing. I feel like Christian is Hall of Fame worthy, but it's always going to be like, oh, he's Hall of Fame because it's Edge's credits that gave him that credential. He's a legendary Hall of Famer tag team man, but he's not going to be like Hall of Fame single star man, even though everyone says he is, despite his Impact run, despite his runs outside WWE. But, he's always second fiddle to Edge in the booking department. Even though he kind of shown that he can carry it by himself, he doesn't need to be carried by Edge all the time. So, yeah, that's just my 2 cents on that. But then when it was revealed, it was Christian who joined AEW, Christian Cage, instant classic, outwork everyone. Then it immediately fell apart because now you have the WWE tribalists coming out with their pitchforks and torches, aka their keyboards, and they're ranting on Twitter and ranting on everywhere, saying, no, Christian can't do that, he's a traitor, he betrayed Vince, he betrayed everything WWE stood for. And I'm like, oh my god, shut up. Like, Christian, okay, Wrestling Inc., despite my differing opinion with the lead site member, because he goes ahead and says Hikaru Shida's only gained these opportunities because she's sleeping with Kenny Omega, even though I never ever heard a story about her and her relationship with Kenny Omega other than just being good friends, and really, is that really our place? Like, it's not. I know I made this whole this theory that maybe Nikki Bella and Brie Bella stuff was that, but it's more like, really, what was the Belchers doing before they dated Cena and Bryan, and then all of a sudden they started just getting more and more stuff out of nowhere? That was the big difference. I think it's from a booking perspective. Whereas if this was the case with Hikaru Shida, not saying it is because evidence because the way she's booked seems to say otherwise. Why is she not being given the most segments? In fact, she's been mostly on Dark most of the time. The women on wrestling has been mostly on Dark. I feel like that could also be because of the Kenny Omega claiming that TNT may have been the ones that did, but that's a completely different perspective. But yeah, everyone just WWE tribalists raged at this. That Christian betraying the WWE, despite the fact he wasn't signed to a contract with them and he was signed with Fox, and therefore that completely negates the whole he's a WWE loyalist, even though he made his biggest names towards outside WWE beyond tag team wrestling. But, that we don't count that, right? And it's like, what? And then like everyone's calling it TNA 2.0 or WCW, and I'm just thinking, why are we having this talk? It's AEW. Why is it so hard to just accept the idea that there's an open market now? You see, this is the problem with Monopoly. This is the problem. I think people have been ingrained with the idea that WWE was the dominant force for over 10 years, over nearly 20 years. years being the biggest market of the wrestling industry, but then when stuff like New Japan starts spreading their influence in America, when TNA was coming popping up and getting some talent before, Dixie Carter blew it up with Hogan and Bischoff running things, because that was a great idea to have two egotistical, one being an egotistical jackass and the other one just being egotistical, will run everything. Because brilliant idea, brilliant idea. Let's rehash WCW's overused NWO concept. Like, it's like, why are we making this comparison? So what if they buy out former WWE wrestlers? So does that mean, like everyone was saying, people wanted hit EC3 to join WWE? Look how he was being used. What in fact, and every time I hear, well, he was WWE, therefore he's a WWE guy and he can't go anywhere else. And I'm just thinking, okay. So Prince Devitt, Pete Dunne, Walter, they say you were not WWE products. So go back to Japan and the UK, please. Really think about this. You're trying to make the argument that AEW doesn't produce homegrown talent, although they do. But we're just gonna ignore that logic. Like Darby Allin's a prime example. Ricky Starks. We got Brian Cage doing his thing with Taz. But, we gotta ignore any homegrown talent, especially Darby Allin, I must stress again, and who's working with legends and whatnot. But, we can't count that. That's against the rules. The WWE Tribalist is status quo. But, yeah, it's come on, like, let's be real. No one, like, because WWE, I feel, has had this monopoly on wrestling for over nearly 20 years now, that it's virtually impossible to imagine for these tribalists to imagine, wait, they could go somewhere else? You could do that? But they're all WWE guys. Even though WWE kind of ran out of homegrown talent, like, really think about it. Okay, besides Roman and Bray Wyatt, and the current veterans from the Ruthless Aggression era like Randy Orton, who is really a homegrown WWE talent in the last 10 years? Vladimir Kozlov, but that failed, and he's not in WWE anymore. The Great Khali, but no one really talks about that anymore. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, a big chunk of their roster mostly consists of New Japan wrestlers. They consist of Ring of Honor veterans. They consist of, let's see, a Impact. They consist of UK wrestlers from Progress who have financial ties to WWE. They got Evolve wrestlers who shouldn't be there anymore, but they kept him around. But because it's WWE, we just ignore that. But if AEW did all that, it would be against the rules. Yeah, it's like we're still doing this. This tribalist nonsense, and I'm not saying that AEW is perfect. I'm not. Like, they copyright all the explosion moments and the promo that Mox cut out from a fan cam perspective. But I'm thinking to myself, okay, so so I don't know if full details ever came out about the copyright takes, but they kept saying that it could be a copyright guy, it could be the copywriter that did it, but it could also have been like a fake. Like back in December, AEW got called out for the copyright striking fan content, like stuff that talked about the whole event, but about whenever someone criticizes AEW, they get copyright struck. So okay, maybe they don't like criticism. Come on, really. But there was also a belief going around, and there was some evidence suggesting that it might have been a fan who just is a fanatic. So the AEW has their own fanaticisms running around who will defend AEW to the death, and if anyone makes a dare about them, it's against the rules. So, yeah. Am I excited for Christian in AEW? Hell yeah. Do I think he's gonna end his career on his terms? Hell yeah. Do I think any variables could go wrong? Maybe. But here's the thing. This was Christian's decision. He didn't have a gun pointing to his head like some fans are portraying this seems to be as. But it's just this visceral hatred saying he's not Hall of Fame worthy, even though everyone for the last 6 years would say he's earned the Hall of Fame. 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 But when he goes somewhere else, oh, he was never Hall of Fame worthy. Oh, he came back. Oh, he's awesome. Let's go ahead and have him wrestle, have him compete, let's have him fight Big E and finish their feud from all those years ago. Oh, Bill goes to AEW. Oh no, he's a 47-year-old washed up loser. We're really doing this. We're back in the Stone Ages. Let's be real. I am glad, freaking glad, social media wasn't big like it is now in the 90s. If social media was existing during the 90s, that industry would not have survived. It would have been stagnant. And I think one can make the argument wrestling is stagnant partially because of tribalism and fanaticism. Also because independent contractors are still being treated like garbage, mostly from WWE's war and third parties. And then you got wrestlers being compared to being soft because they're not having guns or knives in their pockets, ready to stab one in the back. Literally. So, yeah. I'm just ranting. I just needed to rant about this whole Christian Cage is AllElite, but it's against the rule that if WWE did the opposite, which they have done, where they hire New Japan wrestlers, they hired ROH veterans, they hire Impact Wrestling veterans. In fact, the guy you wanted to join, the guy who you preached to come back to wrestling is an ROH guy, CM Punk. And then there was the whole, will AEW overhyped it? No, they didn't. They say the talent is Hall of Fame worthy. Everyone has said for years, Christian's Hall of Fame worthy. Then Tony Khan comes out and says, oh, it's a guy I watched a lot of wrestling. He's one of my favorite wrestlers. What does that indicate anybody? Oh, that it was saying it's a he? Did that say, oh, he's a mainstream star? Well, he is kind of mainstream with fans. Like, everyone knows who Christian is, but mostly from the perspective of, he's the redheaded stepchild to Edge. Dark, I know. But it's like, but everyone predicted, and I said this in my video, some people predicted it was going to be John Cena. It was going to be The Rock. And I was like, no. The minute you bring up The Rock, you bring up John Cena, you should have stopped right there. You should have realized that was overtaking it. That was way overblowing it. If Cena pulled a Hogan and went to AEW, that would be a shocker. But the idea, especially since Hollywood was breathing down wrestlers' necks who join with Hollywood and don't want them to go anywhere else because they'll get hurt and they'll have to pay for it. And, all that pesky almighty dollar is the key ingredient and everything. It's like, come on. Rock, Cena, was people really thinking that was a possibility? And then people were saying Brock Lesnar is like, okay, I could imagine Brock Lesnar joining AEW if there was a massive crowd. If crowds were around to do it. But AEW couldn't afford to recoup the cost at their present state. At the present state they are, especially in the pandemic era. Why was Brock Lesnar even a consideration? Like, I know he was off the merchandise list, but he's still tied with WWE. I'm like, he's not under contract with them. He could go somewhere else. But the idea of AEW getting him, like, as much as I don't want him in AEW, on the grounds up, he's just too much money, and he'll add extra incentives to be signed. It's just weirdly insane that people thought those three were possible ideas. No, two are Hollywood locked. Batista was never going to join. Like, there were discussions I heard about Batista in AEW. According to Dave Meltzer, at least, that he's an AEW spokesperson, essentially. Their PR rep. And, yeah, were there talks? Apparently there was, but nothing really amounted to it. But I don't think Batista would have showed up because he is very passionate about anti-COVID stuff. So he doesn't want to get COVID and doesn't want to work while COVID's running around and hates anything Donald Trump represents, but that's a different subject. So, yeah, that's it. That's it. I'm done. This was my thoughts on Christian Cage's AllElite and subsequently other topics about the idea of overhyping stuff to the extreme, and also the whole tribalist mentality about wrestlers and their loyalties they should go to when if they're not signed with one company, therefore they can't sign with anywhere else. So yeah, that's about it, everyone. Everyone, this was Near Reality Entertainment presenting the WrestleVerse. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Check out our content in the description below. Stay tuned for more. I'll see y'all next time. Peace and take care. I'm out. I'm just out. See ya.